What is happening, people? Today we're talking about Bitcoin Cash. We're going to touch on the Bitcoin versus Bitcoin Cash thing, and we're just going to go over the differences and how it all happened and just the story behind it, basically. So, on the 1st of August 2017, the Bitcoin blockchain, so just one of these, forked, which is just split. So, one of these went to one of these. So that was the 1st of August, they split into two. One called Bitcoin and one called Bitcoin Cash. So they turned from the Bitcoin blockchain into the Bitcoin blockchain and the Bitcoin Cash blockchain. And that's what's happened. So anybody that was holding Bitcoin before the 1st of August received the same amount of Bitcoin Cash when it split. So if I had one Bitcoin on this one, it split, and then I had one Bitcoin and one Bitcoin Cash. Make sense? So as long as you got in before the 1st of August 2017, you got given the same amount of Bitcoin Cash as Bitcoin that you had. But why did this happen? So why did it split? What's the reason behind it? Why did Bitcoin fork? So Bitcoin has a block size of 1 megabytes of storage, and a new block is created roughly every 10 minutes. So there is a detailed breakdown of how Bitcoin works on my channel and my website. Like, check that out for the nitty-gritty details. But basically, there can only be 1 megabyte of storage in a block before it's full. Now, this wasn't a problem back in the day when the network wasn't that busy. But now that people are taking an interest in Bitcoin and more people are on it and more people are interacting with it, this 1 megabyte block of storage, like, we're running out of space, basically. So there's so many transactions coming in, especially during busy periods like 2017, December, January, like November, that time. November, December, January, around that time. The network got extremely busy, so there were way too many transactions for the 1 megabyte block. So since there's only a new one every 10 minutes, there was a big queue of people waiting for their transactions to go through, and it just kept getting worse and worse and worse until eventually the whole thing died down a bit, and then eventually it caught back up to itself. So this is a big problem. Like, we can't have a network that just stops working. Like, we need to be able to scale this network. So this is the whole thing behind it. So the main argument is the block size, but there are other little bits, but the main argument is the block size. So we've touched on when it's busy, everyone's transactions can't go through. Oh, and so when the blocks are full, transaction fees begin to go crazy. So the way it works is, like, miners, basically the computers that are running the network, they're processing these transactions, and a sort of bidding war starts to happen. So if the blocks are full, I can pay a higher fee than you in order for my transaction to go through first, but I could also pay a lower transaction fee than you, and I'm happy to wait for that transaction to take like a few hours or even a few days if it gets really bad. Like, I'm happy to wait that. But so there's this pay a high fee, transaction goes through quicker, pay a low fee, transaction takes longer to go through. There's this like bidding war that's happening, which is, in a perfect system, it's not ideal, but it's what's happening. So a system like this that is very expensive to move money about in busy periods, like, it favors people that are in Bitcoin as a digital investment, so they're not planning on using it as a currency, whereas people that want to use it for the day-to-day lives, like paying for things rather than just sitting on it as an investment, like, the people that are paying things are paying these ridiculous charges when the network is busy, and that's just not ideal. It's not fair on them. Like, they're missing out. Like, that's their view on it. So the community was debating this for ages, and two solutions came about, like, that stood out to me anyway. One was Bitcoin Unlimited, which that just proposed a flexible block size, but that didn't really catch on. So, like, if the networks are busy, you can make the block size busy until it dies down again and reduce the block size, but that didn't get much steam. And then the other one was SegWit 2x, and that got more steam, like more traction than Bitcoin Unlimited, but it still didn't take off. So what they proposed to do was optimize the code, reduce it, make it take up less space, And also after 3 months of this being live, like the block size goes from 1 megabyte to 2 megabyte, which is significant, but it didn't take on. So what happened was on the 1st of August, Bitcoin Cash was created because they made the block size 8 megabytes. So they changed the underlying code and split off, and they made their own blockchain with an 8 megabyte block size rather than a 1 megabyte block size. But you got to keep all the Bitcoin, just got transferred over. So you had Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash. But one's got 8 megabytes, one's got 1 megabyte block size. That's all there was. So this brings us to the war, the Bitcoin versus Bitcoin Cash. Now, this is just a steaming pile of memes, drama, twists and turns, and if you do dig deep enough, you do find the smart discussions which we should focus on. But don't get sucked into this Bitcoin versus Bitcoin Cash bullshit, man. Like, there's no war. Like, there's a little bit of a war, like some rivalry, like some competition, but like, there's no war that I can see from like my side, like, or my eyes. Like, it's Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash. Like, they're not against each other. They're both trying to do different things. Like, the sooner we get out of the us versus them mentality, like, or the mindset, and start helping each other, it's like the better in my eyes. So Corey Fields, I've just done a video and an article like previously on this. Like, he's a Bitcoin core developer, and he found a devastating bug in the Bitcoin Cash code in one of the transaction pieces of code, which would basically fucked everything up. Bitcoin Cash would have been rubbish if people had found it and exploited it. But he saved the day. He found the exploit. He reported it. They fixed it. There was no incident. So more of that needs to be happening and focusing on, like, I think the Bitcoin versus Bitcoin Cash thing, I think that's just a vocal, I don't know, I think it's just a very vocal, like, minority. Maybe, I don't know, maybe not, but I feel like cryptocurrency and this whole movement is about helping the world and helping each other out. And it's just, debate is healthy. Don't get, like, I think we should talk about things and that's healthy. But when it turns to fighting and spreading wrong information and like smear campaigns, like, that's just not ideal. Like, we're going backwards a bit there. Like, I'm all for talking about it, but some of the stuff that's happening, like, nah, mate. So as it stands, Bitcoin is acting as a digital store of value, like digital gold, and Bitcoin Cash is trying to act like a peer-to-peer payment system, or like a transaction system between people, rather than sitting on it and investing and waiting on it. Bitcoin Cash is acting like they want to make everyday payments. So because they're making everyday payments, more transactions are going through, so you need more block size. So that's how the block size ties into it. If you're not doing transactions, if you're not moving money about, there's not many transactions going in, so you can keep a small block size. But if you want to use day-to-day payments, you're going to have a lot of transactions, your coffee, your bills, like all that stuff. That requires a lot of transactions, so you need a bigger block space to control it all. And with the 1 megabyte box, that blah blah blah, I'll get my words out. With Bitcoin being, so we'll go over the differences here. So Bitcoin wants to keep this 1 megabyte block size, so people from all over the world can access it. So the argument is, if you keep increasing the block size, eventually the blockchain is going to become so big that it's less accessible to people. So only people with really high-end computer storage, or maybe even corporations at that point, will be able to run the network. And for a decentralized payment system, like, that's just not what we want. We want as many people to be able to access it as possible and run it and check on it, basically. So we want to avoid that centralized, like, authority of, like, that centralized corporation running it. Do you know what I mean? We want every person being able to add to the network if they want to. So you can't just keep increasing the block size either, because eventually you will run out of space. So another solution needs to be found. So if you, let's say every single person on the planet adopted Bitcoin and they started using it for like all the daily transactions, like global adoption actually happened, there would be so many transactions actually happening that this block size solution just needs working around. When we get to that point We're nowhere near that point. We're years and years and years and years off that point. But for now, Bitcoin are trying to work on that problem now at 1 megabyte, whereas Bitcoin Cash is happy to keep increasing the block size. Like, they've just upgraded to 32 megabytes, so they're getting there now. And the idea is with Bitcoin that they just don't want to keep doing that. They want to find the solution at the 1 megabyte so it's more accessible to people. So they're trying to figure out a way to get it to scale without increasing the block size. And they're proposing this through the Lightning Network. That's a whole other topic. Go check my video and my article on it. Should be the one after this, or like 2 after this. But I've done a video and an article on that, so check it out. So with Bitcoin, they're trying to tackle the 1 megabyte problem and then going to get around it with Lightning Network. Bitcoin Cash have increased to 8 megabytes, but they've also increased it to 32 megabytes now. But back in the day, they did, in the 1st of August, they came out with 8 megabyte. Now, as of the 17th of May 2018, it's 32 megabyte, and that allows more transactions per block. And Bitcoin Cash also they introduced a dynamic mining algorithm, which would change the difficulty as needed. So basically, this just prevents like unpredictable block times. Like, that's all it does, really. It stops unpredictable block times. So they want to keep as close to 10 as possible, really. Last words, I'll touch on a bit of the drama. I don't want to go too much into this, but like, there's so much uproar and just chaos that's happening. It's good to like at least have a bit of an understanding on it. So what a lot of people are actually upset about with Bitcoin Cash is like, they're claiming to be the real Bitcoin. Like, it's a bit awkward. Like, there's sides to, you've got Bitcoin versus Bitcoin Cash, but then you've got like different sides against different sides of that. Like, you've got some people that are mad at this bit, some people are mad at that bit, some people that are mad at this person. So it's just a mess, really. But when with Bitcoin Cash like promoting, like claiming they're the real Bitcoin, this is where the problems happen. Because imagine you're a new user. Like, the whole process of becoming a new user and adopting cryptocurrency is baffling. It takes time and it takes commitment to get your head around it all. The last thing you need is this confusing Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash thing where like Bitcoin Cash is claiming to be the real. Like, you just don't want that. It's just not ideal. Like, it's just not an ideal situation. People have even lost money sending Bitcoin to Bitcoin Cash addresses and like vice versa. Like, money is being lost, especially new and inexperienced users. So it's not good. It's not good. People argue that Bitcoin Cash could have carried on the plan. Like, all hundreds of other altcoins have tried doing what they're doing, but they've like named themselves different. They're not calling themselves Bitcoin or Bitcoin Cash. Like, they've kept themselves separated from Bitcoin, whereas Bitcoin Cash is like, no, I'm Bitcoin. That's the problem that a lot of people are upset with. What else? If you go on Bitcoin, so like bitcoin.org takes you to Bitcoin, bitcoin.com takes you to Bitcoin Cash, and they're talking about Bitcoin Cash as if it's Bitcoin. It's just not ideal. That's the only word for it. It's just not ideal. Like, you don't want that. And then you've got the whole Reddit drama as well. So basically, the Bitcoin subreddit on Reddit is about Bitcoin and Bitcoin topics. But when all this was happening, like when all these debates were happening, people were finding that their comments were getting censored and deleted by the moderators. So if the moderators didn't agree with what you were saying, they were deleting your content and then banning you from the forum, which is just for a censorship-resistant, decentralized cryptocurrency. And then you've got a moderated forum which are deleting, are censoring people. How does that make sense? Like, it just doesn't, does it? So all of those users and other users migrated to the RBTC. So it's just called BTC, the subreddit. BTC, it's the ticker for Bitcoin. But most of the people that got banned were talking about, oh, like, what do you reckon about this Bitcoin Cash? And like, Bitcoin Cash, like, they was talking about Bitcoin Cash, so they got banned. And then since a lot of people migrated to BTC, that's where a lot of Bitcoin Cash discussion happens. But the ticker for Bitcoin Cash is BCH. So that's just confusing. That's not ideal. That's not what you want for new users. Like, I know that, and a few people that have been in the space know that. But new users are going to be like BTC, but it's Bitcoin Cash, and like they're just going to get confused. It's not what you want. That's just a massive, horrible mess that's happened on Reddit, but it's sort of mellowed out a bit. But it's not mellowed out. I'm not going to lie. It's just still a shit show. But let's move on. Let's keep the boat going. Let's forget about this whatever's happening. Let's just focus on the good. Help each other out. That's all there is to say, really. The whole thing's a bit of a shit show, but intelligent discussions are happening, and you can find them. So go digging. At the end of the day, my view on it all: both cryptocurrencies are doing what they think is right, and they're trying to change the world by improving the financial industry, and they're trying to make it more accessible to people all over the world. So the more people that are trying to create a censorship-resistant global cryptocurrency to work on the global economy, the better in my eyes. Like, rather than having Bitcoin just having a crack at it, let Bitcoin Cash have their crack at it, let Nano have their crack at it, let everyone have their go. Let everyone try and do it. Let the best technology win, and let just let the best one win, sort of thing. And maybe some could even work together for a really long time or forever. You don't know. Like, these projects could always just work together forever. I don't know. You see it? That's all I'm going to say on it. That's my view. What's your opinion on it? Let me know down below. Check out my socials. They're all on here. Woo! Wait, there we go. Check out all these bad boys. Why can't I do that? There you go. Check out these. Click them, like them, share them. I love you for it. Makes me feel good. Gets me dopamine going, man. Thanks for reading. Thanks for watching. Have a magnificent week. I'll see you about, mate. Peace. Mwah.